You slept 7 hours, you had your coffee. You sat down to work, checked your messages, opened the first document, and then somewhere around 2:17 in the afternoon, you stopped reading and started staring. The screen was the same. The task hadn't changed, but something inside had quietly shut a door. Your body didn't fail you, your schedule did. You were running a biological system designed for rhythm, and nobody told you the rhythm had a rest stop built into it. This is a video about 8 habits. But underneath all 8, there is one idea that the Japanese absorbed into their culture long before science had a name for it. While most of the world has been engineering productivity, the Japanese have been engineering recovery, and it turns out that's the same thing. Stick with these 8 habits to the end, and you won't just understand your energy, you'll finally stop fighting it. In the 1950s and 60s, a sleep physiologist at the University of Chicago named Nathaniel Kleitman, the man who co-discovered REM sleep and is widely called the father of sleep research, identified something quietly radical about the waking brain. It doesn't run in a straight line. Kleitman proposed what he called the basic rest activity cycle, the BRAC, a roughly 90-minute Ultradian rhythm that the brain cycles through not just during sleep, but throughout every waking hour. High alertness, then a 20-minute trough, then high alertness again. The trough signals for recovery, a yawn, a fidget, a sudden craving for something sweet or caffeinated. And what most people do at that moment is push through it, borrow from tomorrow to pay for today. The modern broken equation reads more input, more caffeine, more willpower, more unbroken hours equals more output. The data suggests otherwise. Energy is rhythmic, not cumulative. And the Japanese, without neuroscience to explain it, built their daily habits directly around that rhythm. The first layer of the Japanese energy system begins at the table. Hara-hachi bu, 2 words that translate simply as stomach 8 parts full, eat until you are 80% there, and then stop. The Okinawa Centenarian Study, one of the longest running longevity studies in the world, documented that traditional Okinawans consumed roughly 10 to 15% fewer calories than national guidelines recommended. Researchers Bradley and Craig Willcox, together with Dr. Makoto Suzuki, identified hara-hachi bu as a key mechanism of mild, consistent caloric restriction embedded not in a diet, but in a single habit repeated 3 times a day. Most people frame this as a longevity tool, but the energy story is different and it is more immediate. The brain's satiety signal arrives 15 to 20 minutes after the stomach is physically full. If you eat past that threshold, past that point of actual fullness, the parasympathetic nervous system redirects blood toward digestion, pulling cognitive resources away from the brain. The crash that follows isn't weakness. It's biology completing a transaction you authorized at the table. Hara-hachi bu isn't a diet. It is an energy management decision embedded in a meal. Stop at 80% and the afternoon trough stays shallow. Cross it and the trough becomes a shutdown. Once you understand that the body signals for rest every 90 minutes, the second Japanese habit stops looking like laziness and starts looking like precision. Inemuri, the word itself breaks into 2 parts, iru to be present and imuguru to sleep, to be asleep while present. Not checked out, not absent. Present, resting, and then available again. Dr. Bridget Stager of Cambridge University documented inemuri across Japanese workplaces, classrooms, and public transit in her 2003 research. What she found was not a culture napping carelessly. It was a culture that had built social permission for the body's ultradian trough into its public life. The inemuri sleeper remains upright. The posture signals, I am still here. I simply honored what my nervous system required. In 1995, NASA conducted a study with long-haul airline pilots. Those who took a planned nap of approximately 26 minutes showed a 54% improvement in alertness and a 34% improvement in task performance, compared to those who did not nap. The numbers are precise because the biology is precise. The trough is not a mood. It is a physiological event with a measurable recovery window. The practical tactic is simple. When the trough arrives, when the staring starts, give it 10 to 20 minutes. Upright in a chair, eyes closed, not a failure of productivity, a completion of the cycle. Beneath hara-hachi bu and inemuri, there is a philosophy that makes both of them possible. It is not a habit. It cannot be scheduled. It is a way of understanding what energy actually is and where it lives. The Japanese call it ma-ma, a single syllable meaning space, interval, the pause between one thing and the next. Space, interval, the pause between one thing and the next. Architect Arata Isozaki, Pritzker Prize laureate and the scholar who introduced Ma to Western architecture through his 1978 exhibition at the Cooper Hewitt Museum in New York, described it as the space of imagination that exists between 2 things or 2 moments. It is not empty time. That is the crucial distinction. Western productivity culture treats blank space on a calendar as a problem to be solved, a gap to be filled, a slot to be optimized. Ma proposes the opposite. The interval is not where energy is wasted. It is where energy is restored, accumulated, and made available for what comes next. Without Ma, there is only output. And output without recovery is not productivity. It is consumption. This is the philosophical root beneath every Japanese habit in this video. Hara-hachi-bu creates Ma in the body. It leaves space in the stomach, which leaves space in the nervous system. Inemuri creates Ma in the workday. It honors the gap the Ultradian cycle opens, rather than papering over it with stimulants. The neuroscience confirms what the philosophy has always held. Default mode network activity, the brain's quiet consolidation work that happens during rest, is not idle processing. It is where memory integrates, where creative connection forms, where the day's learning settles into something permanent. Suppressing that window doesn't preserve momentum. It erodes it. Ma is the understanding that your energy does not live inside your effort. It lives in the space you protect around your effort. That is the whole system. Tonight, one thing. Before you close your laptop, sit for 2 minutes without opening anything. No phone, no queue of tasks. Just the end of the day, acknowledged. That pause is not transition time. That is Ma, built deliberately into the seam between work and rest. Over weeks, the cumulative effect of these 8 habits is not a dramatic transformation. It is quieter than that. It is the experience of arriving at Thursday with something still in reserve, of recognizing the 2 p.m. trough and responding to it instead of resisting it, of eating lunch and feeling capable 2 hours later. The Japanese did not engineer these habits for peak performance. They engineered them for sustainability, for showing up fully, repeatedly, across decades. That is a different ambition from the ones most productivity advice sells, and it may be the more important one. If someone in your life is carrying a caffeine dependency and an empty calendar, wondering why they're exhausted by Wednesday, this video was made for that conversation. Send it forward. This video explores lifestyle patterns and behavioral science for general educational purposes, not medical advice. If you're experiencing chronic fatigue or sleep disorders, a conversation with your doctor is always the right first step.